The beekeeping sector is mostly benevolent toward bees. However, like was any agriculture practice, beekeeping may contribute to modify the environment, including the bees. And some beekeepers may unknowingly contribute to the decline of local bee populations. So the aim of this short presentation is to raise awareness on the risk posed by some apicultural practices on native populations of AP cerana. AP cerana has a wide distribution range, covering the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, southern and western China, Korea, and Japan. This vast area encompasses a series of bioclimatic zones to which AP cerana had to acclimate. To do so, each local population of AP cerana had developed specific characteristics adapted to its environment. These local adaptations resulted in the differentiation of numerous subspecies and even more regional ecotypes. Though they have evolved separately, these different populations are still able to crossbreed. So why are AP cerana subspecies or ecotypes important? In other words, why should we care about the conservation of AP cerana population's diversity? Two main reasons to this. First, as they are best adapted to their respective environment, ecotypes have a higher survival rate in their native area when compared to non-native subspecies. Also, they constitute local reservoirs of genetic diversity, which might become critical for future conservation of AP cerana. Unfortunately, some beekeeping practices, usually associated with beekeeping intensification, may contribute to reshape the diversity of these subpopulations. Generally speaking, in South and Southeast Asia, beekeeping with AP cerana is still at the early stage of modernization or intensification when compared to beekeeping with the Western honeybee, Apis mellifera. Sometimes considered as an handicap by the beekeeping industry, in particular because of the lower honey yields, this poor level of intensification could actually constitute an opportunity in the perspective of the development of sustainable beekeeping and the conservation of wild populations of AP cerana. In the following slides, I will try to show how beekeeping intensification has impacted several subspecies of Apis mellifera, and I wish this presentation will contribute to encourage us to be cautious in further development of beekeeping with AP cerana. Some of the characteristics developed by local ecotypes to best adapt to their specific environment may differ from apicultural traits desired by beekeepers. For example, producing large quantity of honey may not be a priority to bees adapted to tropical climates, where they can forage more or less year-long. These colonies may also have a high absconding trend in order to move the location of their nest following successive flower bloom. Bee population exposed to predators may have developed strong defensive behavior. On the contrary, domestication commonly leads to the selection of traits that enhance production, meaning a lot of honey, and gentleness, not aggressive bees. By selecting colonies that best meet their requirements, beekeepers may initiate changes in the genetic diversity of a bee population. The consequences of these modifications remain very likely minor when they involve a small number of managed colonies surrounded by a large wild population of native bees. When practiced at a large scale and within a native bee population already weakened, bee selection by beekeepers may contribute to reshape the local population diversity. A greater source of genetic modification of bee populations is hybridization. So what is hybridization? As subspecies are still able to interbreed, two subspecies coming in contact result in the development of an admixed population, which is also called an hybrid. Beekeepers may contribute to the hybridization of two bee populations by introducing queens or colonies originated from other subpopulations in their apiaries. International trade of bees and queens constitutes a big threat to bees' genetic diversity from this perspective. Moving colonies over long distances as part of migratory beekeeping may also bring two subpopulations in contact. As native subspecies are the best adapted to their specific environment, their admixing with non-native subspecies undermines their conservation. In Europe, several native subspecies have been genetically admixed, and their conservation is constantly undermined by queens and colonies importation. Pushed to their extremes, hybridization and selection may result in the creation of artificial bee populations. The most striking example is the buckfast breed, a bee artificially created from the interbreeding of multiple Apis mellifera European subspecies. Very popular among European beekeepers for its particularly high productivity and gentleness, buckfast breed is widely spread in many European countries, where it constantly introduces alien genetic material in native bees' population. By introducing queens or colonies originated from different subpopulations, or by moving their colonies over long distances, beekeepers may involuntarily enhance the spread of disease and parasites. The introduction of new pathogens in a native bee population defenseless against it may have dramatic consequences. The introduction of the parasitic mite Varroa destructor is probably the main factor explaining the demise of most wild populations of Apis mellifera in Europe. Further than the demise of most of the European wild populations of Apis mellifera, managed bee populations of the western honeybee in Europe, USA and Asia only survive thanks to the periodical acaricide treatments by beekeepers. Thus, the introduction of a new pathogen has led not only to the demise of most Apis mellifera wild populations at a continent scale, but also to the reliance of managed populations on chemical treatments provided by beekeepers, and this on 3 continents. In some cases, beekeepers' preference may lead to the demise of a local subspecies not only from the wild but also from apiaries. This occurred in Germany, where the native population of Apis mellifera has been almost replaced by Apis mellifera carnica, a subspecies native to southeastern Europe. In France, genetic contamination is rather low in regions with the dominance of small-scale beekeeping, while it reaches very high values in regions where intensive beekeepers regularly import foreign queens. The African continent remains the last one owning large and diverse wild populations of Apis mellifera, and interestingly, African beekeeping industry remains relatively undeveloped. The conservation of European subspecies of Apis mellifera, or what is left of them, has become a major concern in Europe, and several European countries have established protected areas to preserve what remains of their native subspecies. So, which path do we want to follow with Apis cerana? Will we learn from the dramatic consequences of decades of intensive beekeeping with Apis mellifera? Thank you very much.